Hey everyone, good to see you. I thought today that it's been a while since I've, shot a video, so I thought, hey, why don't I just have some story time? So it's another bright day here in the labs. Gotta have the shades. Anyway, back when I was in high school, the first car that I ever owned was a 1953 Chevy Powerglide. And I got this when I was 16. Had worked long, hard hours out in the cornfields. They called it corn detasseling back in the day. And anyhow, I saved my bucks up and I bought my first car. And this is what the car looks like right there, except mine was this really lovely color. Here, I'll show you. It was this color. It was this kind of off green, and you can notice it has a really large trunk. Anyhow, one of the things that we used to do is we used to go out to the drive-in theater, and I don't even know if any of you have been to one. It's been a long time since I've seen one around, but anyway, cars used to drive and there'd be a huge movie screen, and you'd pull up and there'd be a speaker on a pole that you would hang on your window in your car. And anyway, kind of fun times. I wasn't thinking fast enough this morning. I have one of those old speakers from one of those drive-ins. I could have brought that and shown you. Maybe next time I'll bring it in and show it so you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, these were kind of fun times for teenagers to go out to the drive-in and take in. They used to show like 2 to 3 movies per night. And anyhow, being that we were high school kids and didn't always have a lot of money, we'd often think, well, let's try and, sneak a few people in. And of course, my car had this huge trunk on it. And so if we went, we'd stash like 4 guys in the back and try and sneak them in. And so this one evening we went out there and we finally get up to the gate. They have, it's kind of similar to being in a drive-through for a restaurant. You stop when it's your turn. And anyway, the lady, I presume she was the owner, she comes walking over to the car, and how many do you got? And it was just me and a friend of mine in the front seat, and said just 2 of us. And she hears something coming from in the back, and she's, "Are you sure it's just 2?" And I said, "Yeah, 1, 2 right there." And anyway, she calls for her husband. I can't recall what his name was, but she calls, I'm going to say, "Russ, come on over." And so Russ, this must be like, they must have had some kind of code or something. Russ comes out of the shack, gets in the car, and pulls his car up right in front of my car. And anyway, they, come over, Russ comes over, and he's like, "You must have some people in the back end." And I'm like, "No, sir, I sure don't." And he's like, "Well, maybe you need to show us that you don't." And I said, I don't have anyone in the back. I don't need to show you. And of course, they tried to scare us, by saying, well, then we'll just have to call the police out. And being the smart aleck I was, I'm like, okay, call the police. And sure enough, I couldn't believe it. There was a police car that must not have been too far away, because he comes blaring into the drive-in and comes up, parks, and gets out, and like, Russ, what's going on? What can I help you with? And Russ is, I think these guys are, they have some stuff in their trunk. And so the officer says, you know, young man, I'm going to need you to get out of the car and show me if you have something in your trunk. And so, without skipping a beat, these cars that were old like these Powerglides, and I'm sure other types of Chevy models, they were, I don't know if they were designed this way, but anyway, I could take the key out of my ignition without having to turn off my car. And so I told the officer, I says, I don't have a key to open the trunk. And anyway, so he says, well, I guess there's only one way that we can find out. And he starts walking towards the back of my car, and he's like, I guess we'll have to shoot it open. And of course, whoa and behold, that kind of put the end to that, got out, say, wait, I do have a key, I got a key. Anyway, we were busted, and anyhow, the owners were kind enough to say, well, you can just find your way out, and the officer luckily did not press charges, so to speak, or they didn't press charges. So just kind of a fun little story from my high school days. And if there's one moral of the story here, don't get a car with a big trunk. Later. See you next time.